Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It is certainly a pleasure to be here today. And it is, to me, exciting because I'm with my good friend Jerry Diaz, who everybody knows is kind of shy and quiet and doesn't speak aloud, really calm and everything. And he came to the UAW and told somebody to kiss his Canadian ass. But the point is, it is exciting to be here because United Auto Workers and Unifor are united. We are united to change the plight of our countries. We are united to change from the very top, the rich, and lift people out of poverty. We have done a lot of things. Excuse me, I had a cigar last night, and it was rough on me, Jerry.
Should have smoked the one I gave you.
I should have. But anyway, we have had some huge sacrifices in the United Auto Workers and here at Unifor. When you think about what happened just a few years back and the sacrifices that our members had to make, both yours and ours, and when you think about them sacrifices, I get aggravated. And I get aggravated because every time companies make mistakes or banks make mistakes or the financial world makes mistakes, everybody wants to focus on 7%, which is labor's wages, and they all want to ignore the 93% of the company that is wrong. So when you think about it, here we are. That was then, this is now. Company making billions and billions of dollars. But yet, when they were in a crisis mode, they came to the Canadians. They came to the Americans. And we were there, not just as a union, not just as members, but our citizens was there to back them up. So it's also as equally aggravating when I see the amount of investments that are going to China and going to Mexico when they ought to be going to Canada and they ought to be going to the United States of America. Well, brothers and sisters, I come here to give you a message from my members in the UAW. We are standing with Unifor. We are in this together, and we are tired of letting them drive our destiny. It's time to take back our countries, and it's time to change the global thoughts and how they do this market. Now, you still have the same problems we do. You have the conservatives as well as we do. The problem is you have had a better standing of fighting them off than we haven't. So the conservatives in the United States have sold the American citizens a bill of goods. They said, they convinced the American public that if you just give us tax breaks and you relax all these rules, everybody will be better off. So, okay, here we are again. We're getting ready for a new election. And we got that goofy television guy named Trump, who I said the other day he ought to do what he does best, build hotels. But when they said that, a lot of people bought into the fact in America, and they went ahead and pushed conservatives. And I'm not too sure they're really conservatives. I think they are just greedy bastards, you know? But what they did is look at us today. Our schools are worse. Our infrastructure's worse. Our economy has collapsed in 2009. That never happened under the liberals, the Clintons. You know, when you think about what has happened to us, and I look at the economy today, if it wasn't for all this so-called conservatism, people's wages would be lifting. Children wouldn't be dropping out of school. There is more people going into poverty today than ever before. So we have our hands full. And you know, when you think about it, and I was watching the organizing efforts that you have made, and I really are proud of that, and I'm thinking, you know, I told Jerry we just organized a place in Vegas, a casino in Vegas, and we have over 10,000 members in the gaming industry today, the UAW does. And I was thinking about what the people were saying, and I started off in organizing, so I have a passion for it, right? So I was listening to them, and we just won a facility in Alabama, Faurecia. And we just won another, we had a huge battle in Indiana in the independent company. And then when they talked and introduced me, they talked about how we're putting strategies together to organize the transnationals, what we call transnationals in the United States, the Nissans, the Toyotas, the VWs, the Mercedes, the Kias. And we put together a national strategy, and we're working with trying to convince companies we don't need to fight. We need to give people real choices, whether or not they want a union or not. And then the companies we have to fight, we do fight. But here what we did is we put a strategy together, was working with Volkswagen. In fact, the company had said they believe in unionism. They believe that workers ought to have a voice. Volkswagen said that. So we went into facilities to have a vote. What happened? You got the Koch brothers. You got the Corkers. They came in with the National Work Committee and started battling the union and even started battling the company to convince workers not to vote for the union. That's what's going on in the United States, and that's how much the Koch brothers, the Corkers, and corporate America, and a lot of other groups don't want people to have unions. And they don't want to have unions because they don't want people to have a voice in the workplace. Now, despite the economy, despite of everything that these conservatives have done and these anti-worker, anti-unionist people have done, we're still here. Unifor is here, the UAW is here, and we're here to fight. And why I say that is because Corkers and all them thought, okay, we'll beat them and they'll go away, they'll go back north, right? I don't know why they think we're going back north. Hell, we got 60,000 members in the South. But we didn't. Today at Volkswagen, we have a local union. We set it up despite them. And today, Local 42 has over 60% membership at Volkswagen, and we're meeting with the company and we're bargaining with them. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to do that. So when people talk about the fights we have, and I read what's going on in Canada and watch it very closely, and the elections coming up in the United States is very, very important to us. Very important. Because while we have an economy that has growth, and it does have growth, and people are going back to work, they're going back to work with much less. They're working part-time jobs, 2 and 3 jobs. In Nissan, 43% of the people are permatemps, We call them permatemps. They're temporaries that come in and they work there every day, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and then been there 10, 15 years. But yet they still call them temporaries. We cannot build a society, and nor can you have strong economics, if men and women in Canada and men and women in the United States does not have a good paying job, does not have decent wages, and does not have a disposable income. There is no way, and I challenge any professor, and I'm not a college guy, I challenge any professor to tell us how a strong, free economy can survive without a consumer. People have to have purchasing power. People have to be able to buy that car. Even the people in the plants that build them have to be able to buy that car. Hell, Ford understood that. The fact is that people have to be able to put a house over their head. They got to go ahead and put clothes on their children's backs. They got to be able to feed the kids. They got to be able to give them the kind of technology that's going to advance that child. And they got to be able to pay for the college. But yet everybody in the United States keeps talking to us about being competitive. The only people that are creating this whole dilemma globally are the same companies we deal with every day. When they send trucks, hell, I get mad at GM and I get mad at Chrysler. GM builds 378,000 trucks in Mexico, and they ship 328,000 back to the United States of America. And when you look at Chrysler, they build 268,000 vehicles, and they ship 220,000 back to the USA. It's greed. And yet they pay workers slave wages. They have protectionist unions because the government won't enforce the law. And then they go ahead and you hear a guy like Trump says, oh, I'm going to stop all that. Where I come from, we call that bullshit. The fact of the matter is that, yes, the world is competitive. And yes, we have markets all over the globe. We have Brazil, we have China, we have Japan, we have Korea, and we have Europe. But still today, in this world, in this global world, North America is still the largest economy. We are the largest consumer of goods. Not China, not Brazil, not South Africa. And for them to try to exploit workers around the world so they can exploit workers in Canada and the United States is criminal in my mind. It's immoral in my mind. So we do have a battle. We have to be charged up enough to take charge of our own destiny. We have to be unified in the fact that, yes, there possibly could be strikes at General Motors, Ford, or GM. Yes, it's time to take on status quo. It's time for us to take back our destiny publicly. We have to understand that these people, whether they're called conservatives or Republicans or whatever they're called in Canada, could you repeat that, please? Thank you, sister. Whatever they're called, it's up to all of us, every person in this room. It's it's up to every person we have living in our household to join us, to find a way to push back, to find a way to take our countries back, even if we start within our cities, our counties, our provinces, and then our country. We have to take charge of our own destinies. If we don't, if we sit on our hands, the conservatives, the corporate giants of this world, the Koch brothers, and all these billions and trillionaires will run our lives. So our charge as labor leaders, and your charge as labor leaders, and your charge as a real labor movement is to make sure that we are united. We do have real solidarity. We used our fists to say we are taking our countries back and we are going to set the agenda right. And I am tired. Enough's enough. We are going to change the plight of the world so that we can equalize and balance and have real justice for all people, not just some people. Thank you, brothers and sisters. In solidarity, thank you.